UK time. If you're joining me live and you can see and hear me okay, please let me know in the live chat. That would be very helpful. I don't know if you can hear it, but the heavens have just opened and there's a lot of rain falling outside and on the roof here, and I was just waiting to see if it would quieten down a bit before I went live, but no such luck, so it's getting a bit quieter, that's good. Christine from Cologne is here. Yes, if you are able to see and hear me and everything's good, please let me know where you're watching from, that would be great. We got M2M Dokun. Wonderful. I'm just going to set my timer here. So we'll go for about an hour here. Give it a few minutes for people to join in. If you've got questions you want to ask me before we dive into stuff, that would be fine as well. It'd be great to see where everyone's watching from. And great to answer questions and help you with anything you want to talk about before we dive into the training here today, because I do have some slides. I've got a topic to dive into. I can see Michael Goldstein is here from New York City. All right, nice. Dick is here. He can hear me. We've got Lego from Northeast Florida. We got Ellen from London. Wonderful. Great. So we got a full house already, which is nice. Thank you for joining me live, for those who've made the effort. Okay, we got our first question. Let me tackle that one before we dive in. Michael said, what is the best-selling t-shirt design these days? I don't know. I do not know. You can find the best-selling t-shirt design changes every microsecond, I think. And it would depend what website you're talking about. Are we talking on Amazon? Are we talking worldwide? And then if we were to narrow down further to countries or demographics, obviously I know the best-selling t-shirt design for me, the t-shirt design that I made that is my current bestseller and my all-time bestseller and so on and things like that. But I do not know what is the best-selling t-shirt design these days. If you can be more specific, I'll do my best. But no, if you want to see what's selling, you can look on, Redbubble, Amazon, these kind of places, TeePublic. Sort by most popular, or like Redbubble, you can look at trending and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not going to share my personal bestseller for kind of obvious reasons. It's selling every day and doing quite well, and there's very little competition, so I'm not going to divulge my current bestseller. I'm going to share some of my designs here today in the slides. But yeah, I'm not. I don't have a big target on my back. I'm not totally without the brain power to give away my golden goose, if you know what I mean. Marianne is here from Devon, UK. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Great. So we dive into the slides. So if you've got anything you want to ask that's pressing on your mind. Maybe something that you'd want to ask now before we dive in, that would be great. But also, I'll be keeping an eye on the live chat as we go through, so you can ask questions as we go, and I'll make sure we've got a bit of time towards the end for questions also. All right, I'm not seeing any immediate questions piling in, so that's fine. I can see we've got plenty of people joining us, which is great. Again, if you're just joining, just say hello. That'd be great to hear from you, where you're watching from. Those kind of things would be much appreciated. But this will be available. You can watch this replay. I know some of you will be watching the replay afterwards, because this is a weird time and stuff like that, wherever you're based. So yeah, if you're watching live, please do engage. Use the live chat. Ask questions as we go. If not, obviously, you can ask questions separately, or you can email me or something. Terence is here from Chicago. Hello, Terence. Good to have you here as well. I'm glad to say the rain has just eased off, even stopped, actually, completely, which is nice. So I can hear myself think. That's good. All right, should we dive into it here today? I think we should, because it's been a while. I'm a bit out of practice. It'd be good for me to stretch my legs a bit and do some some training and some teaching and talk about a few things here. So let's dive in, and I will share my screen. Here we go. How to come up with original ideas, or how to come up with ideas by yourself. And we'll talk about original ideas and why that matters here in a second. But my name's Michael Essek. I'm a t-shirt designer. And oh, hold on. We got a question. Dick. Let's roll that back a second. Dick says, having trouble setting up sites to push free traffic to Amazon On Demand. Okay, Dick, if you can drop me an email, I think I know what you're talking about, but if you can email me, michael@michaelessek.com, let me know what you're struggling with or what part you're struggling with there. I'll try to get back to you soon on that. Victoria is here from Texas. Good to have you, Victoria. Welcome along. Yeah, if you're just joining us, going to do a live training here on how to come up with ideas by yourself. And if you've got any questions, please use the live chat as we go. I'll be answering questions there, and I'll leave some time at the end for questions also. Okay, let's go. Let's go. How to come up with ideas by yourself. Oh, and this will go for about an hour. Whoops. About an hour. Yeah, my beeper will go off, and then we'll shut it down for then. Okay, how to come up with original ideas by yourself. If you don't know me already, my name is Michael Essek. I'm a t-shirt designer / illustrator / writer about these things, blogger, print on demand and all that kind of stuff. So I started selling on Redbubble about 10, 11, 12 years ago, creating original designs, selling them on print on demand platforms like Redbubble, Merch by Amazon, TeePublic, TeeFury, Threadless, and then licensing designs to brick and mortar stores like Hot Topic and Spencer's and supermarkets here in the UK. And you may have seen me do trainings and tutorials and things for people like Adobe or GoodType or Printify or Printful. I've done live streams and stuff with these people and more. These are some of my types of designs that I create. I create funny puns a lot of the time with cute creatures or illustrations. I'll just give you a couple of examples here, and we'll dive into some of these a bit later on, so don't worry if some of these look a bit weird or confusing, but I just want to show you kind of the range of stuff I do. So not always, custom illustration and stuff like that, but a lot of just kind of text-based jokes, one-liners, puns, trends and those kind of things. So today we're going to talk about why novel ideas give you an advantage, how to discover the best ideas by yourself, and how to do this at scale. So before we dive into it, we just got a question here. Have we got a question from Lego Uzette, who says, what is the best way for me to learn how to begin again? I still have some t-shirts selling online. Good question. Yeah, things do change in the print on demand space. I do have a blog post on my site, the best print on demand companies. If you go to michaelessek.com, you scroll down, you'll see a link to that. Or you just search best print on demand companies and look for my name, you'll see the article. I keep that pretty well updated. So that's probably a good place to start if you've been out of the game for a while. Otherwise, make sure you're on my newsletter so you get updates from me on what's happening and the latest news and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I would say none of the fundamentals have changed when it comes to selling t-shirts online. If you can come up with good ideas, if you can distribute them, if you can get eyeballs on them, then you can make sales, and that's not changed. So hope that helps you, Lego Uzetta. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name horribly. Who this is for today? Designers who can design, by which I mean you can make something look nice. You don't necessarily have to be an illustrator, but maybe you have some kind of graphic design experience. You might say, well, who needs that these days with AI and everything? I would say that there's a lot to be said for the ability to have taste, to discern, to understand what makes something look nice, to design something well. I still think this is a really important skill, especially if you are trying to do something more than make a few dollars. If you're trying to build some kind of brand, if you're trying to build a business that can stand the test of time, then you need to be able to hire people who can make things look nice, not just spit something out from AI. People with taste, so you can tell good from bad. That goes for like design, but it also goes for ideas, as we'll talk about here in a second. And artists who are willing or able to adapt. So I work with quite a few artists who kind of come from a primarily art or illustration background. They're very good at art and illustration. They have a particular style. But what they're not so great at is figuring out how to come up with concepts that work for products, for t-shirts, for things like that. In particular, jokes, one-liners, puns. How do they actually do that? You know, they can make something look nice. They can draw a nice picture. They can, if they're given text, if they're given a phrase and a concept, they can bring it to life and make it work. But they often aren't able to be the instigator who comes up with those concepts in the first place. And that's what we'll talk about today. So if that's you, if you're like, yeah, I can design, I can create great looking stuff, 24/7, but you don't know how to come up with concepts that work or concepts that connect with people, then this is for you. Okay. Why novel ideas give you an advantage? So I'm going to have to kind of define a few terms here before we dive in, but basically what I mean by novel is something that doesn't already exist. And by idea, I mean a few things. Let me try and illustrate this. Maybe this will be easier if I can do it on the iPad here. So an idea is, let's illustrate that with a little light bulb here. So this is an idea. An idea is intangible. It's not something you can see. It's not something you can touch. The task of a designer is to take an idea and turn it into, a file, artwork, something visible, something real. Artwork on a computer, something we can see that can be uploaded, that can be printed on a t-shirt or whatever. So this is what we mean by idea. We're talking about the actual kind of spark of an idea for something that can become something real and something tangible. Now, when people hear idea, sometimes they think, oh, he means like a phrase, or like a pun, like a saying, something like that. And that's definitely part of what I'm going to talk about here today. Phrases and puns and jokes. That's a lot of what I do and a lot of what makes up my designs. But it's not the whole picture, and it's sometimes not part of the picture at all. And again, I'll give some examples here in a second. But another example of an idea might be, for example, we might have some text. Let's just say this is some text. And then we might have a little illustration here of an animal or something. So let's say this is the idea. So the idea is the combination of some text with a graphic. So it's not just, the idea is not just a line of text. The idea is putting this text next to this object or an illustration of this object, and this is an idea. And so, like, for example here, let's just say we use the phrase like, this is how I roll. So that's not a new idea, that's not a new saying or phrase, that's a well-worn, well-understood phrase that people are very familiar with. But if you were to say, put this text next to an illustration of a roller skate, well, that might be, that combination of this text with this image, that might be a whole new idea, i.e. this concept, this idea of this is how I roll with a roller skate image is new. It hasn't been done before. I'm not saying it hasn't, it almost certainly has, but that could be an example of a new idea using a phrase or a saying that already exists. So an idea doesn't necessarily have to be a series of words, a string of words that has never been typed out before or has never been published on the internet before. A concept, an idea, could be this. It could be a combination of things. And then it could be something completely different. It could be, it could have no text. We could be talking about an animal in a particular situation or wearing a particular, type of clothing or something like that, or in a particular novel setting. It could be a badger on the back of a dinosaur, whatever. There could be some combination of, textless thing, which is a funny idea, which can be new, which can be original, which has not been done before. So, hope that makes sense. I think I might just... I can see a couple of questions have come in. I think I might just keep going here and maybe come back to those questions a little later, if that's okay. And just so I can kind of keep momentum here. So, why novel ideas give you an advantage? And that's what I mean by novel idea. A novel idea being this is the idea here. This is what gives you an advantage if you can come up with these novel things. So why does that give you an advantage? There's no icky feeling. Someone asked at the start about what's the best-selling t-shirt design. Even if we had an answer for that question, said, oh yeah, the best-selling t-shirt design for the past few weeks is this. Here's the design. And then what you're going to do with that information? Oh, I'm going to just copy it. I'm going to create my own version of it, or I'm just going to copy that concept and hopefully make some sales, Well, that's icky. That's going to leave you feeling icky. That's not something you can build a brand on. It's not something you want to put out on social media. That's icky. If you're doing your own stuff, original stuff, there's no icky feeling. You have that benefit of being like, hey, I came up with this, or I spotted this idea. I created it. It's mine. Gives you that confidence to promote it as well, to actually push it out there, because it's something you're proud of. You don't have to feel icky about it. So following on from that, you have the ownership element, by which I mean if you created it, then it's yours. You own the copyright to it, not necessarily, the trademark of the phrase or anything like that, but certainly you own the copyright of what you have created that's yours, that's original. And you also get this snowball effect, which is a really big part of why I strongly recommend people work on novel, original ideas that don't exist yet. Snowball effect means, and we can illustrate this. We can come back to the iPad here. Snowball effect is, as I'm sure people are familiar with, snowball rolls down a hill, gets bigger, gets bigger, gets bigger. It's the virtuous cycle thing. So if you are creating a new design, and here's your new design, and you list it online, and then someone sees it, finds it, maybe you've promoted it on social media or with ads or something, and someone goes to look for it. So this person over here goes to look, and they go and look online, and they find it on Amazon or a marketplace like Etsy or something, and then they go and buy it, and then that sends a signal back to wherever you bought it from, like Etsy or Amazon, that says, hey, someone bought this, and that's a really good signal. We like that signal. So next time someone searches for something like this, we're actually going to move this result higher up, so that instead of being like down here in the results, it's going to move up, and it's going to be one of the top results for that thing. And then because of that, you go up. Now, that's what typically happens with sales, and then obviously if you're at the top, that makes it easier to make the next sale, and so on. And this is obviously so much easier if what you have created is genuinely new, i.e. someone comes and searches for, whatever your phrase or your joke is. If someone searches for it, guess what they see? Just you, one result, just you, because you're the only one that exists around that phrase. And therefore, copycats can come along, but guess what? They're always playing catch up. They're always down here below, and you sit on top, and you get that virtuous circle effect of the sales. So that's what I mean by the snowball effect or the virtuous circle. That's how that happens. And then, of course, it can build your brand. Like, people like to follow people who are doing new, original stuff. They subconsciously or otherwise, we don't want to follow people who are constantly reworking or copying other people. And if you can prove to the market or to the world that you're someone who can come up with new ideas, who can do so consistently, then that can build your brand. And not just with, people on social media, but with potential art licensing partners. Even POD sites like to verify and see that the people they're working with or their sellers are able to produce consistently. They don't like, fly-by-nights. They don't like people who upload a load of designs and then walk away. If you can keep on producing good original stuff, that can build your brand in many different, beneficial ways, not just a following on social media, but ways that really make a difference to your business as well. Okay, this is to remind me of an example I wanted to share here. Just to give an example of the strength of like original stuff and how original stuff can sell. And this was an example just from the other day where I think it was on LinkedIn. I was just kind of scrolling through and I saw someone posted, it was the artist who drew this, and he posted this, and it was just like, I think it was just an image, it was this image of C.S. Lewis, and this artist, I don't even know the guy's name, Nathan from Yonder Studio. So he posted this image, and I immediately recognized that C.S. Lewis. I'm quite a big C.S. Lewis fan, so I immediately recognized it as C.S. Lewis, and I thought, oh, that's a nice illustration of C.S. Lewis. That's a nicely done print. And he'd just written a little bit about, I've done these C.S. Lewis prints, and there's 20 of them left, or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll click through and I'll follow the link to his website. This is the website. So I clicked through over here, and I saw, there's the print. It looks nice. Doesn't it look nice? Oh, you get a little certificate of authenticity. That's cool. Oh, there's the stamp. So it's not an illustration. He's actually done he's done a woodcut. He's done an actual lino cut or whatever to do the print, and there's some details about it here. It's a wood engraving. There's 20 only. They're all signed and numbered. They're all hand printed. They're on Japanese-made paper. Blah 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 blah. And it's $120. And I was like, oh, okay, $120. Yeah, that's not too bad. I might put my hand in my pocket and I thought, hold on a second. I didn't even know this existed like 5 minutes ago. I was just scrolling LinkedIn, doing something else completely. This guy I haven't actually purchased it yet, but I intend to. But this guy almost got $120 out of my pocket, and I didn't know him from Adam. Don't know who he is. Had to go and read up a little bit on his website to find out a bit about him and what he does. But I was almost ready to purchase right off the bat, from like 0 to 60 in a few minutes, because it's something I'm interested in, that I'm into. It's really well done and well executed, and it's nice, and I can see it, hanging on my wall or whatever, and it's just a nice thing, and it's looks like a kind of reasonable price for something of that quality, and I looking at the the style of the website and stuff. I'm like, this is a really nice logo. This looks like someone who I can trust, who's a one-man band kind of thing. It's really nice. So all those things factor in, but to go from 0, not knowing something existed, to being ready to shell out $120 within a few minutes, shows you the power of a good idea well executed. And of course, there's nothing complicated about this idea. This is not particularly. It's a novel custom illustration, but there's no hook necessarily here. There's no particular jokes, just a nice thing, and that's the strength of a well executed, piece of art, an idea, a concept, something like that. Because of course, at one time, this was just a concept in Nathan's head. He was like, oh, maybe I should I'm going to do a couple of sketches of C.S. Lewis, or maybe I'll turn that into a print. Maybe people would like to buy it. Maybe I'll make some. So yeah, does that make some sense? Just to kind of give you the idea of one idea well executed can, you don't have to be someone with a huge following. You don't have to be, the top result on some trending thing. If you can tap into something that people are interested in, that they know about, that they recognize, and deliver something of good quality that looks the part, and you don't put any barriers in the way. That's the easy thing about this was everything I see just made it easy to say yes to. Nice graphics, nice detail, so I can see this is legit. I'm not looking at like dodgy looking mock-ups and like weird pop-ups and strange like pricing offers or anything like that. It's just clearly this is a legit website, a legit product, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to share that example to show how you can go from good idea, well executed, someone you don't know, many people you don't know on the other side of the world can reach in their pockets and buy what you produce. So that's the value of a good idea. You don't need to have huge following. You don't need to have all the stuff that goes with it. You can just have a solid idea, well executed, and people will give you money for it. So when I talk about novel ideas, and I can see there's a related question here, actually. I will come back and answer the questions, but somebody, Jess, has asked about how do you find out whether your idea is actually novel. So yeah, I'll kind of address this here. Are there ideas out there which would return no search results, i.e. novel? So yeah, it depends what we're talking about, of course. But if we're talking about a phrase or a saying or a pun or a joke, then there are certainly phrases and sayings and one-liners which, in order to qualify for being novel, there would be no search results for that thing. So I want to give you an example here. Let me skip ahead a little bit and see if I can give you this example, and then we'll come back. Okay, so yeah, this one here, this design in the middle here, you wouldn't fall out of a coconut tree. A little bit of context, that's a joke relating to Kamala Harris. Was that, 2 years ago when Kamala Harris was... Kamala, I don't know. There was like a viral clip of her saying about how her mum would used to say something like, what was it? You think I just fell out of a coconut tree or something like that. Anyway, that's kind of the joke. But obviously this phrase, you wouldn't fall out of a coconut tree. Yeah, I searched that, or I'm not sure I ever actually did because I didn't need to, but certainly if you would have searched that phrase on Google, in exact match, with speech marks around it, you would not find any results for that phrase. It did not exist. It's a text-based design where there's no illustration. There's nothing else going on here, really. Yes, it's referencing the, the DVD meme thing, the pirating, you wouldn't download a car thing. But there would be no result for that. So that's an example of like a text-based one. Now, like here, on this design, Hank the Tank, if you would have searched Hank the Tank, you would have got lots and lots of results. So obviously this concept is not based on the text alone. It's actually about the whole design. The whole design together. Similar with this one. But let me go back and then we'll revisit this here in a second. Yeah. So, are there ideas out there which would return no search results, i.e., novel phrases, and that someone would buy if they saw it? This is a question. Are there ideas out there which would return no search results? And even you could say like, that Hank the Tank one, you could say, Hank the Tank, California flag, search for that. Does it show up? Or the other example, like Badger on a dinosaur or something weird like that. An idea where there's no text in the design, but you're describing the thing you're looking for. Are there any results for that? If no, then yes, your idea is novel. It is not already in existence anywhere. So are there such ideas which would return no search results and that someone would buy if they saw it? And the answer, of course, is yes. Of course there are. Of course there are. There's loads of ideas out there. They just haven't been done yet. Hence, you would find no search results for them. And people would buy them if they saw them. I mean, I can't tell you exactly what those ideas are, but inevitably this is true. Otherwise, there would be no new designs that ever sold, and we would have a static, marketplace where everything is fixed and there's no new ideas or no new things coming up. But there's not. There's new ideas, there's new jokes, there's novel approaches to things, and people are buying them when they see them through various routes and channels. So there are new ideas out there. There are ideas out there, and they exist, I would say. Now, you would say, like, well, what do you mean that those ideas exist? What I mean is they are real. They are real things. Just because they haven't been created yet and turned into designs doesn't mean that the idea itself does not have value and cannot be found. I would say they do exist, they can be found, and they are valuable. And yes, it's our job as designers, especially if you want to build a solid business from your work, to go out and actually find them. So, a couple of points about this. So, we're kind of getting now into talking about how to actually do this. Like, hopefully, I know I've waffled a little bit, but hopefully I've given some kind of big picture stuff on why you should care about novel ideas in the first place, why they're valuable, and why that matters, and how I see it in terms of, like, yes, they're real, they're a real thing, and you can actually go out and find them, and there's ways to do so. That's what we're going to get into here. So creativity isn't magic. It is about creating the right conditions. And by creativity, I'm talking really about the ability to discern these ideas, to find them, and then to kind of develop them into something. You know, an idea that exists in your head, or maybe it's a line of text, or maybe you've got a simple sketch of that thing. Obviously, that's a necessary thing for you to have the final design, but it isn't the full picture. You know, you actually do need to go through the process of turning this idea, this thing here, that does need to go through this process to become a design. And there's lots of things that happen on the way there, and a lot of them are very valuable things. A lot of things, you know, that you notice once you start actually putting things down on paper and you start actually arranging elements, or maybe you use AI to help you begin to visualize them. That process that happens is where these ideas get honed, and where they actually, you know, you take the edges off. It's not that you're changing the core idea necessarily. It's that you're bringing that idea into fruition. You know, you're making it real, and that's a real thing that really leads you to better ideas, not just to novel ideas, but to actually good, you know, valuable ones, things that people want to buy. So yeah, that's what I mean by creativity. It isn't magic, it's about creating the right conditions, and you can create those conditions. You can make it more likely that you will discover these ideas, and that you can discover the quality ideas that we're talking about. So one of those principles, one of those things that you can do, is understand this principle that good ideas come from lots of ideas. And this is Linus Pauling. He won 2 Nobel Prizes for chemistry, I believe. He said the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. I don't know why there's a double full stop there, but that's what he said, and it's a very good quote, and it's very true. If you want to find the best ideas, i.e. good ideas, quality ideas, you want to have a lot of ideas. You want to have a big pool to be looking at. You want to have a lot of things to scroll through, or to be working through, or material to work with, in order to discover those good ideas. It's really about the ability to discern, and to, you know, with your taste, to be able to say, yes, that's good, that's better than that, A is better than B, you know, this is funny, this isn't, those kind of things. So yeah, the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. And just on that point, there's a really good book I'd recommend if you're interested in this kind of topic more broadly. I'm not sure how well you can see that. It's called Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned, and it's by Kenneth O. Stanley and Joel Lehman. These guys are both now working pretty heavily in AI, but this was about 10 years ago or so that they wrote this book. And it's really interesting. It's about how they built some software for kind of machine learning, and they did kind of some very early AI image generation stuff, I guess you could call it. The book's not really about that. It's about where ideas come from and how ideas develop, and how you cannot, as it says, you can't plan your way to greatness, but you can put yourself in a situation where you can discover good ideas and novel ideas and get yourself to the next step. So they talk a lot about how good ideas come from like stepping stones. So you don't, you can't see ahead to exactly what that great breakthrough idea is going to be, but you can kind of step your way there. They give a great example of like computers being obviously incredible breakthrough, but the real great breakthrough of computers came from vacuum tubes, which was developed, not for that purpose at all, but was something else entirely. That was experiments with electricity and gases and things like that. But that was the thing that made modern computers possible. That was the stepping stone that got us to computers. But no one working on vacuum tubes was thinking about computers. They were not trying to invent the computer or anything like it. So, but these things are connected. You step from one skill to the next, or from one breakthrough to the next. And ideas are like that. And I know this sounds a bit kind of big picture when we're talking about just funny t-shirt ideas, but I think the same principle applies. They talk about thinking of breakthroughs and new ideas and, solving big problems as being like in a room, foggy room where you can't really see where you're going. And it's very much like that with ideas. You're trying to stumble across the next breakthrough, and what you want to do is try and put yourself in that position to find that next great breakthrough. So why you don't need to be completely original, and this is why, because a lot of artists and designers get hung up on that, like, oh, yes, that's a new idea I had, but actually it kind of plays on this, or it plays on that, or it's not completely mine, or, it's a lyric, I changed the lyric, is that okay? All these kind of questions. And I'm here to say you don't need to worry about that stuff. Nothing is ever truly 100% original. Nothing is completely detached, existing in a vacuum away from everything with zero context. So you don't need to worry about that. But, and in fact, accepting that and understanding that frees you to do lots of fun things, which can lead to very good, profitable ideas. So good ideas follow patterns. Jokes are patterns. Jokes are pattern interrupts, right? You have a setup and you have a punchline. And why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. And, that's how jokes work. They follow this pattern. Now, the idea of a joke is, of course, that you have a punchline that hits against the setup. That's what makes it funny, but it is still very much following that pattern of setup and contrasting punchline. And this is the same for a lot of funny things. Visual gags, anything you can kind of think of that's kind of a visual pun or a visual joke. Puns follow this rule, of course, because they are changing something that you were expecting. And that same principle of like putting a phrase against a graphic that you don't typically see it with. So if we say like, this is how I roll, but we put it against a sushi roll, that obviously is a very different meaning, and that gives you a new joke and a new thing to play off of. So amateurs try to be 100% original. I'm going to draw my own thing. I'm going to write my own thing. I'm going to do everything 100% myself. Professionals use what already works. And as Picasso said, good artists copy and great artists steal. I don't know if that was Picasso or someone else. Maybe he stole it from someone else. But here's some examples of me stealing things from other people. These are some of my designs. We've spoken a little bit about this one, but each of these is playing in some way on something that already exists. This one is playing on the Dr. Pepper logo, and this one is playing on... Well, these are actually, we could kind of do a little grid here to show what I mean. So, like, we've got... Whoops. So the Dr. Pepper one... Let's call that Dr. P, and then we'll call this coconut And then, what's that one? Hank the Tank. So there's actually like two things going on in each of these, right? So we've got the kind of subject matter, we could call it. Subject. And then we've got the kind of setting. Let's call it that. Setting, or we could say context. So the subject for this first design, subject for this first design is the phrase, "But Doctor, I am Pagliacci." So whether you know that phrase or not, basically just like it's a joke. It's the punchline of a joke. I think it's like quoted in like the Watchmen movie and stuff like that. But anyway, it's kind of a well-known joke, and it's kind of something people play on a lot. So that's the subject of that design. The setting, of course, is the Dr. Pepper logo, which is recognizable and people know. In the coconut one, the subject is like Kamala Harris quote, and the actual setting is the meme, the download a car meme. That's the setting it's been put into. And this one, Hank the Tank, the subject is Hank the Tank. Hank the Tank, the bear. If you don't know about it, you can go and look him up. And the setting is the California state flag. So each of these is playing off of things that I didn't create and I didn't come up with. I did not come up with this phrase, and I did not design the Dr. Pepper logo. All I have done is notice that there's something that links these two guys together, and I've put it into a design and rendered it and put it out there into the world, and people like it. People find it funny. I thought it was a funny concept to link these two together, and guess what? Other people did too, and that design is still selling pretty healthily today. And the same principle applies with all of these. The coconut one, again, I didn't say the phrase. I'm not Kamala Harris, and I didn't come up with the meme of the download a car thing that people are familiar with. Again, I just noticed something or kind of squished one thing into another to make it work. And the same with the Hank the Tank one. The Hank the Tank bear was like a viral news story. Obviously, I had nothing to do with that. And, I wasn't around when the California flag was being designed. So again, I've just found a connection between things and put them together. So this is a really good way to think about, novel ideas. Are these novel ideas? Yes. Is there any part of them which I came up with, which is completely original and mine? No, absolutely not. They are new. There was no Dr. Pagliacci, Dr. Pepper design when I created this. There was none of this. There was no this. I created and came up with the concepts. They were completely new and original and novel. But when you think about what I've actually brought to the party, it's these little arrows. That's all. And everything else pre-existed beforehand. So that's how I think about ideas. It isn't about coming up with stuff, from a blank slate, from a blank piece of paper. It's about noticing connections that already exist and are out there and are real, because there is a genuine connection here. This is not, when I draw this little arrow connecting these two, this is a real thing. It's really, really real that the doctor in this phrase, Dr. I am Pagliacci, and the P from Dr. Pepper, so that it looks very similar. This is a real connection between these two things. That's why it's funny. That's why people who I don't know, who I've never met, who I've never advertised it to, are finding this design organically, looking for it, probably searching for, the phrase, but Dr. I am Pagliacci, finding it on Amazon or finding it on TeePublic or wherever, and buying it, with no input from me. I just created it. They think it's funny, and they buy it. So hopefully that makes some sense, and maybe that just kind of helps you in the way you think about coming up with ideas. Coming up with ideas is not a game of sitting at a blank piece of paper and slowly working your way towards an idea. It's often a case of stumbling across ideas, tripping up over things, serendipity, smashing things together, noticing connections, noticing things. And the interesting thing about that is you can't really work your way to that. You can't sit down and force your way to a realization about a connection between two things. You have to be looking at the thing, thinking about the thing, perhaps, but often these things happen kind of subconsciously. But I do think there are ways we can actually put these things together. So now I'm running out of time here. We've got like 10 minutes. I know there's a load of questions I haven't got back to yet, so I'm going to need to go back to those in a second. So maybe if I just quickly go through this, kind of round this up, and I'll give you a couple of examples, and then I'll answer some of those questions. But the big question, how do you do this by yourself? You need a lot of reference material, and by reference material, I mean the things like what you see here, like things that already exist. So that would be, usually here we're talking about settings. We're talking about things like images, iconic images that people recognize, logos, phrases that people are familiar with, could be memes. It doesn't have to be visual. It can be phrases and sayings. Those are often good places. But this is what I call reference material. And you need that. You need to be able to, collect that, whether you keep that in, I don't know, a drive or a Google Photos or whatever it might be. You've got some place where you store reference materials and you look at them. So you've got something you can like scroll through and come up with ideas. Now I'll show you how I do this in a second. But so you need that reference material, and you need to be able to identify potential overlaps, those matches, those arrows between your topic and that material. So I'll just kind of skip ahead here. We're not going to have time to do this one today, so we'll come back to that maybe next week or something. But yeah, to do this at scale, you need a lot of reference material. So I'll just show you here an example here. So most of those visual ones that you saw there, they were a result of me using my software ideally, and here I've got like hundreds of iconic images and logos and things. So when I came up with the Hank the Tank design, I filtered this. This is just like a big collection of logos and things that are recognizable that we can play off of. So I just narrowed this down by like animal. And then I noticed here the California flag. And I was thinking about Hank the Tank because I was, kind of trying to come up with some ideas for this viral bear story. And I noticed that immediately. So I was able to like filter down to look just at things that had animals in them. And then obviously this jumped out, California Republic, immediately noticed the connection, obviously with the bear, but also that Hank the Tank was in California as well, so that was good. So there's just like a lot of serendipitous stuff there, which led to that Hank the Tank design, and that became a kind of trend seller for a couple of weeks that did really well. The Dr. Pepper one, I think what I did was I did a search for doctor, because I was like, oh, Dr. Pagliacci, maybe there'll be something there. And yeah, there's like a few things here, like Dr. Dre or, maybe the Canada Dry. So there was a few things, but then immediately, noticed the Dr. Pepper logo, immediately kind of ding, 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 noticed that there was potential here to link these two things together. So if you've got, obviously, you can use Ideally, that's what it's for. It's for designers to come and use it in that way so they can scroll through, notice connections, stumble across things, draw those connections in their heads and come up with those new ideas that are based on things that, you didn't come up with, I didn't come up with, but they exist and they're real and people like them. So if you can do something like that, and I'm not going to have time to kind of go through everything Ideally can do today, but there's a link in the description which you can check out as well. And I'll just show you that, what have we got here, like 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm not going to have time for this, but we do have a special offer on Ideally at the moment. So let me just quickly go through this. So the Ideas Workshop was my flagship course, is my flagship course. I've taught this since 2020, and this was my attempt to take everything I knew about idea generation, coming up with puns, coming up with visual gags and parodies and everything, and teach it. So I did, there's like 13 methods of coming up with ideas, how to do it step by step, different types of ideas, some of the stuff you saw today, but a lot more besides, of course. So that course is, really valuable if you're looking for like a comprehensive view. Show me everything, give me all the kinds of wordplay we can do, all the kinds of idea generation we can do to come up with original ideas at scale, to do it, at a really high level. So you're not just relying on yourself to come up with the occasional good idea, but you're actually able to create a kind of conveyor belt of great ideas coming all the time. And then from that, I created Ideally, which is my idea generation software. And this is what kind of speeds everything up. Lots of different ways to come up with ideas. There's a lot of people who are using this to get great results and, selling lots of original ideas that they didn't before. And I bundled them two together so you can get the original Ideas Workshop course and the Ideally access. So if you're interested in that, we've got a special offer right now, ideally.app/offer, if you want to check that out. That gives you 12 months access to the Ideas Workshop, to a pro account of Ideally, bonus courses, bonus material. There's a lot in there. I'm not going to cover it now. So if you are interested, you can check it out at ideally.app/offer. That's the kind of big bundle, everything all together, which you can go and check out. There's ebooks, there's downloads, there's all sorts there. But if you'd like to instead go for an Ideally 3-month plan, which includes the Ideally Pro account, 30-minute onboarding call with me, and ebooks bonus, then you can get that today for $145. That gives you 3 months access to Ideally, so you can generate loads of ideas, and you get on our live calls, you get to ask me questions, and we get to come up with ideas together and stuff like that. So that's Ideally. Again, that's at ideally.app/offer. And if you'd prefer to just try it out with a 7-day free trial, then we've just set that up at ideally.app/trial. So ideally.app/trial, if you want to try you get a kind of limited account where you can do a few searches a day and try things out. So you can go and check that out as well. Okay, I'm going to go back through now and take a look at some of these questions that have come through. So thank you for everyone who's asked a question, and I will... If you've got any questions on any of that, I know I just kind of rushed through that, then please go ahead and ask them, and I'll do my best to answer those as well. Ellen said, just curious, are you a one-man band, or do you have a team working for you? Do you write your newsletter? Are you hands in the code of your app? How much time do you spend on your designs each week? Great question, Ellen. Am I a one-man band? Yeah, pretty much. My mum works for me currently. My sister used to work for me, not anymore. It's never been more than a 4 or 5 person business really at the peak. So yeah, it's mainly a one-man band. I do write my newsletter myself. It is not AI written. I write it all myself. Occasionally, sometimes ask AI to help me edit things, but no, I still write it by hand. And I just don't think AI does a good job of writing stuff. Anyway, so yes, I do write my own newsletter. Are my hands in the code of my app? Yeah. So Ideally was originally built by a friend of mine who's a web developer. He built kind of Ideally version 1.0. And with the advent of AI and stuff, I've been able to teach myself to do a lot more. So basically I'm the main developer now for Ideally. I used to pay developers to do things, but now I'm basically managing it myself. How much time do I spend on my designs each week? Very little these days. I tend to rest on my laurels when it comes to designs. The caveat is that if I have a particular idea back in too soon. AJ says, what did AJ say? In case anyone is on the fence, if I had to choose only one print-on-demand tool, it would be Ideally. I'm not an affiliate or anything, just a big fan. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate that. Jess says, how do you find out whether your idea is actually novel? Yeah, we kind of covered that. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can use Google to search the thing that you would try to search for if you were looking for that. And actually, in Ideally, if you're on the Pro account, we actually have this feature that automatically does that for you. So as you save ideas in Ideally, like I Squid You Not, we do like a check immediately on Google. So you can see here we did a search on Google for I Squid You Not. Apparently it's an episode of Snorks, which is why there's quite a few results for it. But there are no designs for that idea. So we do this automatically. So you get this little tick. You can see some of these ideas are like green. That means that they are unique, that there's very little Google results for it. There's no trademark. So we automatically do that on the Ideally Pro plan. So that just helps you know immediately as you're saving ideas, these are original, these have not been done before. You can pretty safely, pretty confidently go ahead and turn those into designs. So hope that helps. Terence says, you previously recommended How to Write Funny by Scott Dickers. I read it and thought it was good. Yeah, that is a good book by Scott Dickers, the creator of The Onion magazine. I've interviewed him. I'm sure you know that, Terry, but if you're just watching this, there's a interview with him on my channel from a few years ago, so you can go and watch that if you want to know more about coming up with funny stuff. Jess says, thanks, I have a weird fear that searching the phrase puts it out there and AI will suggest it to someone. I mean, it's true that like searching for something probably is logged somewhere, but I don't think you need to worry about putting it out there. I don't think AI is going to suggest it to someone based on a single search. So if it exists, of course, now you know it exists. If it doesn't, it's not something to worry about. So yeah. Arabesque says, I have lots of ideas, words and ideas for pictures, but it takes time to massage the words. Buy an alter clip art or redraw clip art to fit. 8 hours, maybe over 2 days, if it gets to that stage. Yeah, there's definitely a process, isn't there, when it comes to ideas and like getting it to the right place. And obviously AI can make this easier. It can make it quicker to do some of this stuff. But yeah, it still does. I'm still surprised. Not surprised, but it's still very much the case. I think that AI cannot do a lot of the stuff I want it to do, even if I know, like if I was trying to get AI to do, the Dr. Pepper design or something, it's still pretty difficult to get it to do things perfectly like that. So there's certain use cases where it just doesn't do the job, and there's still really that requirement for someone to work through it. So yeah. And Arabesque says, smashing things together, noticing connections. Yep, that's what it's all about. Michael says, how does your idea course program work? You can follow the links and see more on my website about that. Sue says, is it ideal for beginners and even those who have been around a long time? Yeah, if you're talking about Ideally, Sue, this is really, I'll just give a quick run through of some of the tools. So it's just to help people generate ideas. So whether you're brand new, whether you've been doing this for 10 or 20 years, if you need ideas, if you need original new ideas and you want funny new jokes, then it will help you do that. So it doesn't really, matter where you're at. If you can notice a good idea, if you can spot a good idea, then this can help you. I'm trying to think of an example here, but like I was doing some kind of squid ideas. We can put in the word squid here on the plugin phrases tool. So basically we've got like lots of different tools here, as you can see. Each of them is a way to come up with ideas in a slightly different way or to lead to slightly different ideas. And this one is called plugin phrases. Here you just kind of put in a word and then it's going to put in the word into all the fill in the blank phrases that we have. And as you do that, you get basically like these thousands of results that you can scroll through and just keep going and going and going and going. And as you're going, you can like save the ideas that you like. I'm just going to do some at random here just to show you, but all of these then get saved into your ideas page up here, so you can go back and find them and do things with them. And yeah, this is not AI based. This is literally like taking a big database that we have of lots of phrases that we've saved over many years that we've seen work for t-shirts or posters or advertisements or just jokes, and allowing you to manipulate them and do things with them. So that's one tool that we've got, and then I'll just show you the rhyme and replace tool, which is how I generate a lot of my original puns. So what this does is it flips it looks for matches of your input word that rhyme with that word, and then it again runs that against our database. And this is how you can put in a word like squid, and you get back things like I squid you a Jew, or up to no squid. This is where we got back the results like what were they? Like, yeah, some of them you can see over here. These were kind of rhyme and replace results, like new squid in town, or new squid on the block, or oops, I squid it again. She believed she could, so she squid. Again, just kind of funny phrases. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But we have lots of tools like that here inside Ideally, so that you can do stuff with that. And then you can do things like take some of these ideas, and we can generate some quick AI graphics on the back of those. So we can say, let's use GPT 1.5, and we'll just say a squid in a cowboy hat and see what it does with that. So this is how I'm able to like really churn through and create ideas at scale when you need to or when you want to. Not necessarily to churn out loads of new designs all the time, but usually to like hone in on a design or hone in on a concept that really works well. And this is, you can try out lots of different phrases very quickly. You can then edit things in the image and change things around really quickly to help you with that. So yeah, there we go. Oops, I squid it again with the squid, and he's a cowboy for some reason, but okay, fine. And again, this is like really, obviously, if you would have told me that we had this technology like 5 years ago, I'd be like, no way, that's never going to be a thing. But yeah, new squid on the block. It's like that. Yeah, obviously, this really helps you like see if an idea works or not, how it works, how it could even be improved, or even like flipping it on its head might be better. New squid in town. So that's a nice one, of course, because it kind of has that cowboy vibe. And then you can do things like edit these to get them ready to be uploaded. So here we can like remove the background and change like the color if we want to, and then download a like upload ready version of it. All things like that are built into Ideally here. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a taste of it and what it can do. Arabesque said, print on demand like Printify. I'm starting an Etsy shop, and that links to Printify, I think you mean. Does Ideally link to Etsy? I'm trying Printify out. So no, Ideally doesn't link to anywhere like that. What it does is help you create the ideas, and then if you want to, you can obviously use it to create the designs. Like here, we can click the upload ready button, and what that will do is start generating a background removed version of this file, upscaled and basically ready to upload to Printify. So that's how it would work. You would use it to create the artwork, or to create part of the artwork that you're going to then edit or change. But yeah, you actually can get now like usable artwork, usable designs from this, not just a thumbnail, not just inspiration, but actually like the illustration that you can use. Like here's the so how well you can see that, but this is now like the upscaled. This is the actual size, so you can see the quality of that is going to be really good for for printing and stuff. So yeah, all of that kind of built in. I couldn't get a champagne glass that would work as clip art. Yes, AI did a good job with it. Yeah, I think AI is good with that kind of thing where you've got, especially the newer models, GPT-2, Nano Banana. These are really good at, doing stuff that maybe it's hard to find some clip art for, or you want it in a certain position or a certain style. AI is great for that kind of thing. Sharnat says, what types of designs would you say work best on TeePublic? I realize that the designs that work well on Much by Amazon don't necessarily work well on TeePublic. Yeah, that's definitely true. For TeePublic, it tends to be like some of the stuff I showed you, like kind of text-based stuff, not necessarily very illustrative, but usually kind of trend one-liners, the Dr. Pagliacci stuff, that kind of thing tends to do well. I think what TeePublic do well is they understand SEO, so they tend to get designs ranking well on Google. Like they're able to rank their designs on Google quite well. So if people are not searching on Amazon, if they're searching for products on Google, or even just searching a phrase like the Pagliacci phrase, or they're looking for like memes or something, then that can often surface your results on Google via TeePublic, if that makes sense. So that's not necessarily like saying these kind of designs do better on TeePublic. It's more that TeePublic is a good conduit for getting almost any novel design, visible on Google. So if you've got original stuff that people happen to be searching for, then TeePublic is a good place to have those. So hope that helps. Victoria says, are you going to integrate iDiagram 4.0? It's in. I added it last night. It was messing up, but it's in. iDiagram V4 just launched yesterday. I'm not particularly, have to say, hate to say this, but I'm not exactly blown away with it yet. We can try it out here. I think it is. I think iDiagram themselves have said this is, it's behind GPT-2, it's behind Nano Banana. The kind of selling point with iDiagram V4 is like it's an open model, so anyone can download it and run it themselves and change it and do custom styles and things like that. That's all easier said than done, actually, anyway. But yeah, it is up and running. It's kind of slow. I don't know whether that's because it's just launched and it's kind of getting hammered at their server side. But yeah, it's there now. You can go and have a play with it, Victoria. Just search for iDiagram and you'll see iDiagram V4 replacing iDiagram V3, which was the one before that. So here we go. Here's one. Here's an iDiagram V4 design. I squid you not. So it definitely still has that kind of iDiagram look, kind of a bit sharper, more vectory look to it than GPT-2. But yeah, I'm not blown away by it. It's a different approach, a different style maybe, but yeah, go and have a play and see what you think, see what kind of results you get from it. But that's available now in Ideally. Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. Are there any questions before I wrap it up? Yeah, meh is right, Victoria. Before I wrap it up there today, let me just recap. So yeah, if you are interested in a free trial of Ideally, you can sign up at ideally.app/trial. That's a 7-day free limited trial where you get a certain number of searches a day and things like that. You can find out more there. Or if you want to dive in and get 3 months pro access, so you get all the trademark searches and all the originality searches and all the image editing abilities and all that stuff, then you can get 3 months for just $145. That's half price, and that's a lifetime discount, so you can stay on that discount for as long as you remember. Or if you want to go whole hog and get the full package, you can sign up to the Ideas Workshop bundle where you get all my courses and 12 months of Ideally Access, Pro Access, plus loads of other bonuses. Find out more at ideally.app/offer. All right, I think we will wrap it up there today. Oh, Victoria says, how's the baby? He's doing well, thank you, Victoria. Yeah, baby Elijah, 9 months I think he is now. And he is starting to sleep through a little bit better, which is always good news for for everyone involved, in particular Mum. But yeah, he's doing well. Thank you very much. He's a happy chap. He's piling on the pounds. So yeah, he's doing good. We just need to get our car situation sorted because we've got a car out of action at the moment, which is difficult when you've got 4 kids and you can't fit in one car anymore. We did have a minivan type of thing, which is in the garage at the minute. Anyway, won't bore you with all that, but thanks for asking anyway. Okay, thanks guys for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got questions, you can email me, michael@michaelessek.com. Do sign up for the trial at ideally.app/trial. Let me know your feedback and thoughts and questions. And if there's anything else I can help with, please do email me. And we'll do another one of these very soon. All right, thank you guys. Sorry for running over a bit there, but thanks for your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.